All right, boys, let's go.
What's up, everybody? I'm Cheech with another Northeast Offshore Report. It's week 2 to this initiative that's going to roll all the way through most of October. Love doing this. Super excited to bring you guys this each week. So, basically from the first report last week to this week's report, we had Independence Day in the mix. So there were cookouts, there were barbecues, but plenty of people got out and fished. It was exactly what the Canyon Runner crew kind of predicted. They said it was going to be great weather, and we got that. So if you could kind of navigate the, friends and family stuff and find your way out, you probably got into some action. I'm solo, as you can see. My esteemed colleague, Jimmy Fee, left me high and dry. Didn't even give me the connections that he uses to pull in stuff down south. So I went rogue. I talked to a bunch of people this week. I got some really good stuff. And first, I wanted to kind of kick it off by bringing in the Canyon Runner team. They do such a great job with these reports, covering up and down the coverage area. I believe this one starts in North Carolina, runs all the way through into the Gulf of Maine. Just a solid report, giving you a full rundown. And then I'll give you the details on all of the intel that I came across in this week of, hanging out at the beach, doing the family stuff, hitting the cookout scene. It was a fun week, took some time off, but can't wait to get out there myself soon. Without further ado, take it away, Canyon Runner. The Canyon Runner Sport Fishing Team is here to help you catch fish. They offer coaching and concierge services, seminars, and the Canyon Runner map powered by Vim, which will exponentially help increase your catches inshore, midshore, and out in the canyons. The report they provide gives you a sampling of how Canyon Runner maps work, which serves as your co-captain, providing all the fish catching and safety intel, including a built-in warning system and more. It gives you the ability to track over 550 member boats and 25 pro staff boats in real time. Check them out at canyonrunner.com.
Good afternoon, Jimmy Cheech. This is Captain Dean Lambros with the Canyon Runner Offshore Member and Coaching Services Report for the week of June 30th through July 6th. We had some tremendous weather this past week and some tremendous fishing to boot. It's really quality fishing overall. We were very happy with the showing of tunas. We'll start right here locally off North Carolina, where we had several of our pro staff boats, Captain Greg Mayer of the Fishing Frenzy and Captain Brian Soko of the Carly A. They had tuna fishing, yellowfins. There was even some big eyes caught amongst the fleet, and the tunas are starting to spread out down there, but there's still good action in this area. So we're happy for these folks. As we move further up the line here, as you can see, we had a lot of boats this week fishing. It was pretty incredible effort through and throughout. I'm going to put the sea surface temperature on just so all these folks can see here. Really started to see a nice mid 70 and up temperature locally. So we had some folks down here in the Washington Canyon. They did well. Let me turn this fathom line on here. They did well fishing this change here. There was some big eye and yellowfin caught here by some of our pro staff and by some of our members as well here. And that was just great fishing right in. You can see that these folks are really working hard here. 100 fathoms on this small change in here. It's about a 1.5 degree break. There's some folks there that fished the edge of the Poor Man's, and that was good earlier in the week, and it started to thin out, get a little more sporadic. We even saw some effort here in the local lumps. Weren't as great off Ocean City, but as they got northeast of Ocean City, it was pretty good there. Really turned on here, that Baltimore to Wilmington, and we had the 30 and 40 tuna fathom lumps in here. Were really good. And we think right now we're seeing these fish migrate from North Carolina, push their way 20 miles north a day. And they're just actually moving further and further up the line here, working into the Spencer, Linden Cole, Carteret, South Toms, Hendrickson area, and this large body of fish parked themselves northwest of the Toms, Carteret Canyons. And there were some fantastic catches of bluefin and yellowfin in these areas. Not a whole lot to report south of Cape May, through the Coal Wreck area, which typically this time of year is pretty good, but we'll look to see if those fish maybe do migrate further to the west. This was a great body of fish, and we had a lot of members that caught a lot of fish in there. Amongst the life, that was the key to it, right? So whales, mammals, birds. They really saw a lot. It was pretty good. We did hear a couple bluefins locally caught off New Jersey, larger class fish, so 60 plus inches. So that was a nice surprise. Working our way north and east up into the Hudson. There's a small temperature break here, and you can see through the sat shot. It's like low 70, high 69 to like 72. There were some big eyes caught there the last couple of nights, and some yellowfins. Overall, a lot of tile fishing effort here in the canyon. And then the real start of the show was this local report here centered around the Virginia, and you could just see the tracks of boats just coming in from north, from the east. It was pretty incredible. Good body of bluefin were caught in here, and we even had a couple yellowfins caught in the Bacardi this week. So that was interesting. Watch those fish as they push north. So we're right on that northern fringe, and the Bacardi is going to represent the furthest north we've heard of a yellowfin caught midshore, but any day could surprise us. Working our way up here through the zigzag and dip area, we had some sporadic big eye, bluefin, giant bluefin, yellowfin action, and even a couple longfin were caught here this week. So that is very positive sign. And again, just that's the uppermost top of the chain. So 70 to 68, you could just see right through it. You could see where those folks were fishing deep on that structure and hard on that temperature break of classic tuna fishing condition. Locally off Moriches, Shinnecock, Montauk again started the show. Bluefin sort of through the Habs, the Ranger, Coimbra area, as always a fan favorite this time of year. Quality fishing, bluefins, some larger bluefins. And there's also some giants caught south of Montauk too this week. So that was a good bite, and we were happy to see our members get in on that action as well. We had some members that went to the fishtails, very minimal fishing and minimal amount of fish caught. You can see here, this is that slug of water here that's stretching from West Atlantis to just east of the fishtails. And again, it's just a 1.5 degree change, a little bit of color difference, green versus blue, and not much caught on this side of it, of the western side of the piece of water, but the eastern side of the water, that was really the star of the show here. Really fantastic, good big eye bite, decent yellowfin, and bluefin, right? Large over bluefin, 60 to 70 inches. We even heard of some giants as well. So that was great there. And we had folks fishing really from Montauk all the way through south of the Cape, trying to get in on this bite here, which was great. We even had some folks who are still dipping their toes in the fluke bite off Nantucket, which has been great. There is a small little break up in here in this no-name canyon out by hydrographers, which we just heard recently. There's some big eyes caught there. Not too much on the yellowfins. It's, again, small change, 68 to 71, but prolific piece of water. There's a larger eddy out here that remains to be seen. It's not quite on the 100, but we're going to be watching that diligently for those folks out to the east. They should have some great fishing. And then locally, we've got some members fishing here off Cape Cod right now. They're starting to see some whales, starting to see some bait. Not much caught there, sporadic sighting here and there. We've had some fishing effort, so you can see where our members there working hard, and they just haven't been able to do it. I think the most positive sign, though, for all those folks fishing, let's just say north of the Cape, is it's July 6th. Things are going to turn on. Things are going to happen here. We're starting to hear positive reports of fish being caught on the troll and on bait out of Stellwagen and Jeffries. And so we anticipate that those fish will start that trek further north, and we anticipate great bluefin fishing. Well, I want to thank you, the On the Water folks, for their time, and hope you enjoyed this week's report. Signing off.
The Northeast Offshore Report is brought to you by SiriusXM Marine. Fish mapping is SiriusXM Marine's most comprehensive plan and is available on your boat's display and includes access on your phone or tablet via the fish mapping app. Serious anglers use every advantage available, and SiriusXM marks the spot where bait fish gather and game fish hunt. Learn more at SiriusXM.com/fish mapping.
So thanks to Canyon Runner for an awesome report, as always. I'm going to start from north and work my way south. This was the week where we kind of felt like things were going to pop off, and the pelagics did not disappoint. There was action, not as much up north, but there was action pretty much throughout the offshore wire, if you will, from top to bottom. I'm going to kick it off with Captain Bob from Seacoast, New Hampshire Sport Fishing. Shot me an email. He said bluefin tuna has been erratic in recent days. Early last week, wreckfish popped up behind the Isle of Shoals, keyed in on pogies, just a brief surface feed. Then the pogies went deep. They were there. They were gone. Happens quick. That seems to be consistent with those feeds up there with wreckfish, until the bait really settles in and they're really on something. It seemed like most of last year it was sporadic feeds. You had to be like literally finger on the trigger at all times. But hopefully with, the bait kind of concentrating in a certain area, you can get more predictable, reliable feeds up that way. A colleague got one on a popper, he said, in a brief foamer. So you can get it done. Again, be ready, especially when you're going to like that final destination. If you're going to go soak baits for giants or something like that, have somebody ready just in case it's like, whoa, there they are, because it happens quick. Captain Bob said the fish seemed to be moving in steadily as the surface temperatures warm. His last day on the water, it was 64 degrees. Starting to see that creep up. That should fire off a lot of those, kind of finicky fish, giants mainly, that people have been marking but not really getting them to snap. So he expects the fish will start to settle in on the ledges soon and should become easier targets. Not too much different from Joe from Fisherman's Outfitter in Gloucester. He said there's more activity than he last reported. Jumpers inshore here and there. He said right around the 120-foot line as they're running. Guys are seeing them on their way out to the giant grounds. Estimated in the 200 to 400-pound range. So you're likely tangling with that small commercial-sized fish if you can get a hook in one, but you could luck into an XL wreck fish. Nothing super small still, though, from what he's been hearing. He said there's been fish on the bank. Still not settled in enough to snap with frequency. He also thinks it's kind of a temperature deal. Confidence is building for it to get going with good commercial fishing. If it has, guys have been pretty tight-lipped about it, of course. I mean, that's just the name of the game with the commercial fleet. He also echoed there's tons of poor beagles out at Stellwagen and Jeffries. He said there's bait everywhere. So definitely not a bad consolation. I don't know how many people are super into sharking these days, but poor beagle pull, they get real big, they eat awesome, they freeze great, so it's a good warm-up sesh for what's lies ahead with the giant bluefin fishing out that way. So big fan of fresh poor beagle. It's not a bad consolation prize. Moving kind of on down to Monahan's Marine out of Weymouth. Captain Connor gave me a great rundown. Typical, a little bit of everything. The coolest thing from this report, though, was a broadbill swordfish on the troll. And I was like, whoa, I want details on that. And as soon as he sent me a picture, which I'll drop in here, I saw that it was Captain Steve Fernandez. And I was like, that dude's always doing some insane stuff offshore. He always gets into some of the most sickest bites, incredible catches. It's a common theme with that dude. He's a fishy guy. And he trolled up a nice, healthy broadbill swordfish. Again, I'll drop that in his Instagram post on that side of things. Such a sick thing to have happen. I mean, swordfish on the troll, I don't know that it gets any cooler than that. I mean, like, maybe jigging one would be awesome, but when you're trolling, you're typically not targeting them, although I wouldn't count him out that he was like, oh, let's target a swordfish on the troll and get it done. He's that kind of dude. So really cool catch there. He said that West Atlantis has been very good over the last week. Lots of big yellowfin, big eyes, and a range of bluefin. So it's kind of the theme in the canyons. There's been plenty of big eyes in the mix. You've heard mixed reviews on the yellowfin fishing. I've talked to some people that said they were a little spread out, and there was kind of had to really work through the rats to get to ones that you'd want to put on ice. So he reported that the yellowfin have gotten bigger, and there's been a range of all different sizes of bluefin. Those fish hopefully should start to move in north and kind of keep infiltrating the inshore grounds, which we hope to see. He said the water looks good in hydro. He's heard of a lot of big eyes there as well, and he's making a trip at the end of the week and may go way out east to Munson or Powell. A great report from Connor, again, kind of breaking things down. Next up, I reached out to a close buddy of mine, Kevin Gould. He's always up to fishy things as well. Another super fishy dude. He said, basically, the canyons, same old as everybody's been reporting. Plenty of big eye. Quality yellowfin tuna are harder to find, but there's still plenty of bluefin tuna, both giants and some smalls mixed in there. On the inshore side of things, he said fish are mostly southwest of day trip range. So claw, coxes, and tuna ridge all have all the ingredients except for the tuna. Whales, dolphins, birds, and bait have been present throughout the grounds that kind of had a lot of activity last year. So there's definitely some of that happening, which we'll get to moving on. And Kevin reported out east, mostly giants. The small fish are around. They're out deep. Very tough to target. He spent a morning throwing at the tails of singles feeding on the surface. Could always get lucky and connect with one of those. So if you're looking for that, automatic, like this is definitely going to be a rec size fish, that could be a good bet out east. He said P-Town is the same as Chatham, but more giants. Tons of poor beagles there too. Seems like there's poor beagles everywhere you look when you're in that colder water. So basically like east of Chatham, north, all the way up to Jeffries throughout, Stellwagen and east, you have a good chance of tangling with some big poor beagles. Moving on, he's basically all geared up for the Oak Bluffs Blue Water Classic. The 12th annual Blue Water Classic is kicking off. I believe it starts Sunday. So the OBBC paid out a little over $600,000 in prize money. It's been a recurring theme. Everyone's kind of getting ready for that. Some dudes have even been kind of tight-lipped on, what a big guy might have ate or whatnot, because they're all kind of getting into tournament mode, which I can respect. But this year, the OBBC is raising money for the Dion Foundation, which helps kids with very debilitating muscular dystrophy disease. Awesome cause. Great job to those guys putting that together. And like always, it'll be offering an invitation to its winners to fish in the 2025 Offshore World Championship in Costa Rica, which would be pretty sick to punch a ticket to that. You can check out the live activity feed starting when the fishing kicks off, which I think boats can leave Sunday night at 8 p.m. at www.obbclassic.com. Boats can leave any port, which is another cool wrinkle of that tournament, 8 p.m. Sunday, July 13th. So next week's report will pretty much have a pretty solid rundown of how things have been going at the beginning side of that tournament. Moving on, talked to Henry at Fish Northeast in Plymouth. He said Saturday night into Sunday, he went out canyon fishing, a lot of yellowfin, 45-pound class fish, so good box stuffers. Headed south out of Falmouth. The edge was very consistent up until you hit the cold water. He said 70 to 72 degrees seemed to be the juice for the yellowfin, as well as the big eyes. And they got a nice 71-inch big eye, which was a 180-pound core. So definitely a solid fish there. Probably would have liked to have saved that one for this tournament kicking off, which he was one of the tight-lipped guys. Got to respect it. But fresh arrivals. Those yellowfin that he encountered. He said they were very hungry, pretty empty stomachs, and there was nothing crazy on the bait side of things out there. He said some boats had 2 to 4, but they really picked away where they started seeing those, couple of bites of 45-pound yellowfin to put plenty of meat on the deck. He said it was a really good trip in that regard. That big eye was obviously the cake topper for them. He said there was tons of life out there. Whales, just all kinds of marine mammals and stuff. So it was entertaining, and the fishing was consistent enough to be solid from start to finish. He was one of the guys that also reported here in rumblings of fish in the dump on the troll. I heard the same thing. Kind of figured it was like, the southeast corner. Southwest corner, somewhere in that range. It makes sense because what we're seeing down further south, those fish have been moving pretty rapidly with their kind of northern migration. A couple people had mentioned, fish moving, covering about 20 miles a day and moving north and more inshore. So we'll get into some of that as we go.
This report is brought to you by Okuma Fishing Tackle. Whether you're battling big game offshore or casting from the shore, Okuma gear is built to perform when it matters most. Learn more at AkumaFishingUSA.com.
Talked to another buddy, Ty, with Kona Sport Fishing. He runs a conch. Fished with him and his crew a bunch. It's a fun group to get out with. They got out on the 3rd. They saw some random jumpers on the way to the spot, and then they got where they really kind of wanted to, east of that P-Town area, the golf ball area. And then they didn't really see anything they loved. So they blind casted some. Nothing really kind of held their attention. So he decided to leave his buddy boat and double back to where they saw those random jumpers. And all of a sudden, it kind of just blew up for them. They got a bite on a slider, and said it was in the high 60-inch class. Fish ended up chafing off that one. He said it was it was hooked deep. He could tell, and the teeth marks on the leader told the story of why that one got away. The next bite they got spooled them. He said he cranked the spool down as tight as it can go, palmed it, and luckily with the arbor not visible, it broke off at the leader. So always good to prevent a fish from running around with 1,000 yards of braided line behind it. He said that one ate a mackerel espada, so there goes $1.25. All the fish were on spin. He was the only boat there. He said the feed stayed going all around the boat. He said it was super awesome. It was weird. There were no whales, no other boats, no huge biomass of bait, and they were in like 600 to 700 feet of water. So fog started to roll in on him, he said, and they noticed it was all kind of happening in like a 3-mile area where the fish seemed to just be circling. And he's like, let's just mill around here, even in the fog. We'll get our shots. We can watch the sounder. We can blind cast. It'll happen. The fog opened up a little bit. They got a little better view, and they started seeing feeds like all around them again. They got close to them. Put another slider in front of one that ate, and about 10 minutes into that fight, there was an all-out feed about 100 yards away. Got a video of that. Hopefully the production guys can kind of, put that in a vertical format and give you a little sneak peek of what that looked like. But he said it went on for 10 minutes, and they actually, fighting this fish that they were hooked up to, drifted close enough to it for former on-the-water employee Joey they call him. He's not one to watch, right? So he fires off a cast as soon as he feels like he's in range. Hooked a second one. Had it on for a hot minute, a couple runs, ended up throwing the hook. They ended the day 1 for 4. Always cool to get it done where you have that like Nat Geo, just all-out feed going on and be the only boat there to enjoy it. Earlier in the week, he went east of the golf ball and ended up going 0 for 2. Again, sporadic random jumpers. He had very quick shots and got 2 hooks in them. They seem like small to medium commercial size to giant. So, it just made sense with the one fish they actually got to the boat and was able to, get a tape on with 71 inches. So good job to that crew getting it done. I talked to Joe D'Agostino. You guys probably know him as Joe Bags. He said Gully West has been kind of where he started looking. He said look for the green water mixing with the blue stuff. He said that's where it seems to be best. He said the jig and pop bite has materialized. He heard whales have moved in, but when he was there, it was a ton of dolphins. Very common indicator of tuna early in the season when you're south of the vineyard, south of Block, is find those dolphin schools. If you find whales, obviously that's great, but a lot of times you'll stumble into pretty sick bites right in with the dolphins. And he ended up being out there solo, went with a three rod spread. He said 8 minutes trolling, and he already got his first knockdown. A couple swings and misses, ended up getting some bites. He said Blurple was the big producer, followed by green bars, and then in the third hole, white. So in the order of effectiveness for bar colors, that's what he kind of encountered out there. Then he decided to switch to jigging and went 1 for 2. Got talking about that a little bit, and he just kind of mentioned something that I thought was pretty funny. I was like, wait, explain that. He caught his fish. He went 1 for 2 on a Joe Bag chartreuse long cast, basically ripping that bait up, that jig up, high in the water column to where these fish were marking. My first thought was like, dude, I'm surprised you didn't put that down and throw the popper, because he loves a good popper bite. And he said, for some reason, and it's been a 3-year trend, because I just assumed he caught it on a sleek jig, which is a common tuna jig that he makes that I've done really well with. A lot of people have done really well with. He said from west of Butterfish, for some reason, the long cast is their favorite jig. Like, that gets bit, right? But the sleek jig isn't as effective. It still will catch fish, but he's like, it is a noticeable difference when you're west of Butterfish that the long cast outfishes the sleek jig. But then when you're east of Butterfish, it's the sleek jig that outfishes the long cast. So just kind of a weird dynamic there, which seems to be holding true over 3 years now, that I wanted to dig into a little bit. I thought that was pretty cool. Obviously different profiles, but a neat little wrinkle I stumbled into anyways. But he did mention pretty awesome popper bite. So that got my attention, obviously. He said it's in several different areas. He's like, find the birds and start throwing poppers because it's been good. And the fish are spread out. So the more that the fish are spread out, the more that the boats are spread out, which equals less pressured fish. So once you find an area with that kind of bird activity, chicks and slicks obviously are great. Just start blind casting with the popper. They'll come up from 70, 80, 90 feet, sometimes more, to smoke a popper on the surface without any surface activity going on. So if that's something that you want to get into, I've done it before myself. It's like a sonic boom from below. You don't have to see fish on the surface to get them to eat a popper. And if you stick with it, right, and don't give up on it and work an area, you'll draw the attention, which will bring the fish up and they'll smoke it. I've had old timers tell me, or more seasoned guys tell me, that if you can get a fish to come up and eat a bar, you can get them to come up and eat a popper. But you definitely have to be disciplined and commit to it, and you'll get it done. If you haven't caught a fish on a popper, I want you to go out there the next time and commit to it if that's what you want to do, and let me know how it works out for you. I want to hear some stories about your first popped tuna because you took the advice of Joe and myself and anybody else that loves that bite, because I definitely do. Moving further south, I talked to Captain Chris from Keeping It Real Sport Fishing. He's out of New London, Connecticut. He said the bluefin tuna have finally found the bait that we have been seeing for the last few weeks south of Block Island. Super excited about that. He said there's an abundance of fish in the 40 to 60 pound range with a few overs being caught. It should only get better from here, he predicts. He said trolling purple 6-inch squid, wide tracker chatter bars, and green 6-inch squid, wide tracker chatter bars have been the ticket. They're on sand deals. Haven't seen any tuna feeds yet, and still seem to be a little bit more spread out than he likes for knowing when it's time to drop that jig. Thanks for that report from Captain Chris from Keeping It Real Sport Fishing. I also spoke to Will King. He fishes out of the South Shore of Long Island. He goes by at Willie_fish on IG. He said that early summer bluefin fishing the past 2 weeks have been wild here on the South Shore of Long Island. Huge schools of migrating bluefins, 30 to 50 pound class. They pour out of the local canyons and continue their steam northward into the inshore grounds. He said, we were lucky to find a plethora of surface feeds over a few different trips. At times, it didn't matter which direction you looked, as there were pods of foaming bluefins that stretched for miles. Each feed consisted of hundreds of bluefin. He said these bluefin were in washing machine mode, pinning balls of sand eels at the surface and gorging themselves in a whitewater frenzy. He kind of compared it to those Panama, iconic feeds that you see just whitewater everywhere you look. He said between sand eels getting sprayed in the air and bluefins hitting the side of the boat, all that is needed is a well-placed cast on the outside edges and you're instantly tight. These smaller class fish also make great light tackle fights on Stella 6Ks, which they took full advantage of. And they were just basically running south, head on a swivel, and they stumbled into feed after feed, leaving out of the South Shore of Long Island. So that's awesome to hear. Thanks for the report, Will. Moving on, we got a little fan mail from Captain Glenn Pennell out of Seabright, and Chris Rittman out of Oceanport sent in a note after a recent trip. He said they left the Channel Club Marina on July 3rd, headed to the Monster Ledge looking for tuna. To their surprise, they landed a 75-pound white marlin in 175 feet. Water temperature was at 68 degrees. He said the fish put on a great show. It was an awesome fight. In about 15 minutes, they were able to land the trophy on the Naughty Dog 2. The fish was successfully released, and to add to their excitement, they were treated with a small mahi-mahi to make for what they call was an epic day. So I appreciate reaching out and letting us know. Thank you, Glenn and Chris. And moving on, I just happened to overhear Matt Hafner on the Water Zone let me know that he had confirmation of a 38-pound wahoo that was caught out of Ocean City, Maryland. So far, I think that's the first wahoo catch that I've personally heard about. I'm sure there's been some in the mix, but good job to Bad Habit Sport Fishing for getting that done. Been dying to catch a wahoo. Hasn't happened for me yet, but it's definitely high on the hit list. And I heard from Ty off the 73-foot Bayless shark bite. He gave an awesome report as well. He said, billfish-wise, there's been catches all the way up the line from the Baltimore to the Toms. Wayne's World out of Cape May was 6 for 8 the other day on Whiteys, so they're starting to show up in numbers there. Heard of one double XL blue marlin hooked by a tuna guy in West Atlantis last week, but that's it on that front. In West Atlantis, he said that the name of the game has been the bigeye bite that's been happening there. So there's also been some giants in West Atlantis chewing on the troll, but very few yellowfins around from what he's heard. South the block, every place I've ever caught a tuna has fish from what I hear. Tuna Ridge, Gully, Horns, Rager, Habs, loaded with little bluefins. I've kind of heard that from multiple sources as well. It seems to be shaping up nicely. So this next window after this blow, I'd head out there if you're in range and get to looking, because that sounds like it's about to explode. When I was talking to Captain Chris out of New London, he was telling me that he got word from some of his buddies that were catching yellowfin inside of the lanes, and I think, we were talking kind of back and forth, I think that we're going to see a repeat of 2 years ago where we get some yellowfin kind of heading back inshore and hopefully mixing in with the bluefin, because that's always a great mixed bag deal. Personally, I hope to see that happen, because it's nice to not have to run far for yellowfin to hear them inside of the lanes at this stage of the season. Pretty good news, and hopefully they keep heading north and inshore and give us that treat that we had a couple years ago. Last but not least, I'm going to leave you with this video from the socials. Came from Ty's buddy at Tyler Cofran, who was on one of those epic popper bites that Joe Baggs talked about. Always check your drags, boys and girls. Dude hooks a fish right at the boat. Sick eat. Realized the drag was super light, and we've all been there. 100% of the time, it screws you all the time. But when the bite's that good, it's not that big of a deal. It's just one of those reminders, right, that happens every so often that you hope that it's top of mind so it doesn't really burn you on the one, or maybe the one bite you get all day. So enjoy this video. I'm Cheech with On the Water, another Northeast Offshore Report. Thanks for tuning in. Leave a comment. Let us know what you get into out there. Happy to spread the word on what's going on the offshore side of things. Appreciate you guys.